Most people live fast but feel empty inside. They chase success, attention and approval, but deep down something still feels missing. Because the truth is, life isn't about having more. It's about finding what truly matters. This audiobook, 10 Things That Truly Matter in Life, Life's Greatest Lessons, is not about motivation that fades after a day. It's about real change, the kind that shifts how you think, how you feel, and how you live every single moment. Ask yourself right now, are you actually living, or just getting through the days? Do you wake up with meaning or just routine? If your heart knows there's more to life than what you're doing right now, this is your reminder. In this journey, we'll uncover 10 truths that will help you live with peace, clarity, and purpose again. Because life isn't waiting, and your time right now truly matters. Chapter 1. Know yourself deeply and understand what truly drives you. Knowing yourself is not some nice idea written in a book. It's the foundation of everything you will ever build. When you know who you are, you stop drifting through life, hoping things will work out. You start making choices that fit who you are, not who others expect you to be. Most people never stop long enough to ask, why do I do what I do? They run from one thing to another, busy but lost. The truth is, success without self-understanding is fragile. It can look good from the outside, but feel empty inside. Understanding yourself starts with paying attention. Pay attention to how you think, how you feel, and how you react when life challenges you. Notice what excites you and what drains you. Notice who you become when things don't go your way. These are clues. Your emotions are not enemies, they are messengers. When you feel angry, it tells you something matters to you. When you feel jealous, it shows what you wish for yourself. When you feel peaceful, it means something is aligned inside. If you ignore these signals, you lose touch with your truth. But when you start listening, you begin to see patterns. Those patterns tell you what drives you. Every person has a deep reason behind their actions. Some are driven by fear of failure, some by the need for love, some by a hunger to grow. If you don't know your driving force, you'll spend years trying to fill a hole that never ends. Real change begins when you identify what truly moves you. Ask yourself, what am I chasing and why? Maybe you're chasing approval, money, status, or security. Be honest. You cannot fix what you will not face. Once you face it, you can redirect it. You can turn fear into focus, insecurity into effort, pain into purpose. Self-awareness is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong process. You grow, you change, and so does your understanding of yourself. But the process starts with silence. Find quiet moments every day to sit with your thoughts. No phone, no distractions, just you. In that space, you begin to hear your real voice. The world is loud, and it constantly tells you who you should be. But your soul speaks softly. You have to slow down to hear it. Once you hear it, you start to trust it. And when you trust it, you make decisions that come from your values, not from pressure. There's power in asking yourself hard questions. What do I really want? What am I afraid of? What am I pretending not to see? These questions aren't easy, but they reveal the truth, and truth always leads to freedom. Many people live in confusion because they avoid these questions. They keep busy, so they never have to look within. But if you want peace, you must stop avoiding yourself. You can only run from your reflection for so long. The day you face it, you start to change. Knowing yourself also means understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Be real about what you're good at and where you struggle. Don't judge yourself for it. Self-honesty is not self-criticism, it's clarity. And clarity is power. When you know your strengths, you can use them with confidence. When you know your weaknesses, you can work on them or build systems around them. The goal isn't perfection, it's growth. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who do everything well. They're the ones who know themselves well and act accordingly. You must also know your values. What do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to be when no one is watching? Values are the foundation of a meaningful life. Without them, you drift. When you have them, you have direction. Write them down. Maybe your values are honesty, kindness, discipline, or family. Whatever they are, let them guide your decisions. Every time you face a choice, ask, does this align with who I want to be? If the answer is no, walk away. It's that simple. A life built on values is a life built on peace. Many people confuse identity with achievement. They think their job, their house, their title or their followers define them, but these things can disappear overnight. Your real identity comes from within. Who are you when everything is taken away? That's who you really are. When you know that person, no loss can destroy you. You can rebuild anything because your foundation is strong. That's why self-knowledge is not just emotional, it's practical. It gives you stability in a world that constantly changes. To understand yourself deeply, spend time reflecting on your story. Every experience, good or bad, has shaped who you are. Don't ignore your past. Study it. What lessons did your failures teach you? What values came from your struggles? You are not defined by what happened to you, but you are shaped by what you learned from it. Understanding this turns pain into wisdom. You stop seeing your past as a chain and start seeing it as a teacher. Self-awareness also helps you connect better with others. When you understand yourself, you stop projecting your pain on people around you. You stop needing others to fill your emptiness. You start relating from wholeness instead of need. That's where real relationships begin. Between two people who know who they are. Love, respect, and trust grow when you bring your true self into every interaction. But understanding yourself requires courage. It means facing your insecurities, your doubts, and your mistakes. Most people avoid this work because it's uncomfortable. Growth always is, but the discomfort of facing yourself is nothing compared to the regret of never doing it. Every time you confront a hard truth, you gain power over it. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop blaming circumstances and start creating outcomes. Here's what happens when you truly know yourself. You gain direction. You stop saying yes to everything because you understand what matters and what doesn't. You stop needing everyone's approval because you're clear on your worth. You stop comparing your journey with others because you finally understand your own path. This clarity brings peace, and peace is what everyone is really searching for. Understanding yourself also brings motivation. When you know your why, the how becomes easier. You wake up with energy because you're living a life that makes sense to you. You stop working just for survival and start working for purpose. Your drive comes from meaning, not from fear. This kind of motivation lasts. It doesn't fade when things get tough, because it's rooted in who you are, not what you get. If you feel lost, that's okay. Everyone feels lost at some point. It's a sign you're ready to find yourself again. Start small. Take 5 minutes each day to ask yourself, what matters to me right now? Write your answers down. Over time you'll start to see patterns. You'll discover what drives you, what gives you energy, and what drains it. Follow that awareness. It will lead you back to yourself. Remember, no one can do this work for you. Others can guide you, inspire you, even challenge you, but only you can look inside and do the inner work. The person you become in that process is stronger, wiser, and more grounded. That's the real success story. The goal is not to have a perfect life. The goal is to understand yourself so well that no matter what happens, you remain steady. At the end of the day, knowing yourself is not just about success. It's about peace of mind. It's about waking up and feeling at home in your own skin. It's about walking through life with confidence, because you're not pretending anymore. You're not trying to be someone else. You're you, real, aware, and growing. That's what truly matters, because when you know yourself, you stop searching for happiness in the wrong places. You realize it was within you all along, waiting for you to notice. Chapter 2. Accept your past fully and start living with peace. Peace begins the moment you stop fighting your past. Everyone carries a story. Some chapters are filled with joy and victory, others with pain, regret, or disappointment. But your past is not your prison, it's your teacher. Until you learn to accept it fully, it keeps holding you back. You cannot step into peace while dragging the weight of yesterday. Many people try to bury their past under work, distractions, or forced positivity, but what you resist stays alive inside you. Healing begins the moment you face your truth with honesty. Accepting your past doesn't mean you approve of everything that happened. It means you choose to stop letting it control your emotions and your identity. Too often, people let old mistakes define their self-worth. They replay painful memories over and over, as if repeating them could change what already happened. It can't. The past doesn't need your punishment. It needs your understanding. Every choice you made, every mistake, every heartbreak was part of your growth. When you see it that way, your story becomes a foundation, not a wound. You can't find peace if you keep asking, why me? Life isn't fair, and it never promised to be. Some people hurt you because they were hurt. Some situations broke you because you were meant to rebuild stronger. The question is not why did this happen, but what can I learn from it? That single shift in thinking turns pain into wisdom. Every experience, even the painful ones, gives you something valuable: patience, resilience, compassion, perspective. The past is not the enemy, it's the evidence of survival. People who live in the past live in emotional chains. They bring yesterday's guilt into today's opportunities. They hold grudges, not realizing those grudges burn their own peace first. Forgiveness is not about excusing what others did. It's about freeing yourself from what they did. Carrying resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to get sick. When you forgive, you're not saying it was right, you're saying it's over. That's how peace starts. Not by erasing memories, but by removing their control over you. It's not only others we must forgive. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We look back and see the wrong choices, the missed chances, the people we hurt, the time we wasted. But you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. Growth means looking back with compassion, not judgment. You can't evolve if you keep punishing the version of yourself who didn't know better. The past version of you wasn't your enemy. It was your starting point. Peace requires acceptance. Acceptance means facing reality without resistance. What happened, happened. You can wish it were different, but that wish doesn't change anything. It only deepens your pain. Acceptance says, yes, this happened, and I will learn from it. When you do that, your energy moves from regret to growth. You start using your past as fuel instead of chains. The more you accept your history, the more peace you find in your present. Take time to reflect, but don't dwell. Reflection is healthy. Dwelling is destructive. Reflection helps you understand patterns and break them. Dwelling keeps you stuck in guilt or anger. Ask yourself what your past is trying to teach you. Maybe it's teaching you to set better boundaries, to choose differently, to value yourself more, or to recognize red flags sooner. Every event carries a lesson. When you find that lesson, the pain begins to lose its power. You can't rewrite history, but you can rewrite how it lives inside you. You do this by changing the meaning you give. Instead of saying, that failure ruined me, say that failure taught me what doesn't work. Instead of saying, That person broke my trust. Say that person showed me what trust really means. Language shapes emotion. The words you use to describe your past determine how you feel about it. Choose words that build strength instead of shame. People often believe that time heals all wounds. Time doesn't heal anything. Awareness does. Time just gives you space to decide what to do with your pain. Healing happens when you confront it directly, when you stop pretending you're fine and start working through what hurt you. That might mean journaling, having hard conversations, or sitting quietly with uncomfortable emotion. Real peace doesn't come from avoiding the past, but from processing it until it loses its hold. The human mind tends to replay painful moments because it's trying to protect you. It says remember that so you don't get hurt again. But protection turns into paralysis if you never move forward. Learn from the past, don't live in it. You are not the same person you were back then. You've grown. You've learned. You've survived. The person you are today deserves a chance to live freely, without being judged by your yesterday. When you start living in peace with your past, something powerful happens. You stop fearing your future. The same strength that helped you through before will help you again. You realize that you're not defined by what went wrong, but by how you responded to it. Every scar is proof that you made it through something that once felt impossible. You begin to respect yourself more deeply because you see how far you've come. Sometimes we attach our identity to pain because it gives us a story. I'm the one who was betrayed. I'm the one who failed. I'm the one who lost everything. But those stories become prisons. You don't owe loyalty to your old suffering. You can acknowledge it without living in it. Your story can change the moment you decide it's no longer about pain, but about growth. You can say, I'm the one who learned. That's the kind of identity that brings freedom. It's important to remember that peace is not the absence of memories. Peace is the presence of understanding. You will still remember the hard times. The difference is, those memories no longer control your emotion. They become facts, not triggers. You can talk about them calmly because you've made peace with them. When you reach that level of calm, you reclaim your power. You no longer react. You respond. You no longer break. You bend. And keep going. The process of acceptance is not quick. It takes time. And patience. Some wounds need space to breathe before they can close. That's okay. Healing doesn't mean you forget. It means you remember without pain. Every time you revisit an old memory, remind yourself that you're safe now, that you've grown, and that you're moving forward. Your past cannot hurt you anymore unless you keep reliving it. When you look back on your life, you'll notice that every challenge taught you something you later needed. The moments that broke you taught resilience. The people who left taught self-respect. The failures taught humility. The loneliness taught independence. The mistakes taught wisdom. These lessons are gifts, not punishments. They were preparing you for where you are now. Once you see that, gratitude begins to replace bitterness. And gratitude is the seed of peace. Accepting your past also allows you to connect better with others. When you've made peace with your own story, you stop judging people so harshly. You understand that everyone is fighting battles they don't talk about. You become more patient, more compassionate, more human. You realize that everyone has moments they wish they could erase. That realization brings connection instead of comparison. Living with peace means focusing your energy on today. The past is done. The future isn't promised. All you truly have is now. Use it wisely. Build habits that bring calm. Spend time with people who bring light. Engage in activities that make you feel alive. The best way to honor your past is to live fully in the present. You survived for a reason. Now it's time to live for one. The more you accept your past, the easier it becomes to take responsibility for your future. You stop blaming and start building. You stop wishing and start working. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means clarity. You finally see where you stand, and from there you can decide where to go. Peace is not a destination. It's a way of moving through life with honesty and grace. You have two choices. Carry your past like a burden, or wear it like wisdom. One keeps you tired. The other keeps you growing. Your past is over. The only power it has now is the power you continue to give it. You don't need to rewrite your story. You just need to read it differently. Understand it. Appreciate what it taught you. And then gently set it down. The day you accept your past is the day you begin to live. You stop chasing what you lost and start building what's next. You stop fighting memories and start creating moments. You stop waiting for peace to appear and realize it was waiting for your permission all along. Life becomes lighter when you no longer carry what you can't change. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you allow, and it starts the moment you say, I'm done running from yesterday. I'm ready to live today. Chapter 3. Build inner strength by keeping promises to yourself. Strength begins with trust, and the first person you must learn to trust is yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you build confidence that no one can take from you. Every time you break that promise, you weaken the bond you have with your own word. Inner strength isn't built in the gym or on the stage. It's built quietly, in the small moments when you choose to follow through even when no one is watching. It's built when you do the things you said you would do, especially when it's hard, boring, or inconvenient. Most people are good at keeping promises to others, but they often fail to keep them to themselves. They show up for everyone else but cancel on their own goals. They keep commitments to their boss, their family, and their friends, but when it's time to keep a commitment to themselves, exercise, learning, rest, personal growth, they say, I'll do it later, and later never comes. Over time, this habit quietly destroys self-respect, because deep down, your mind keeps score. It remembers every broken promise. It knows when you gave up on yourself. When you stop trusting your own word, your confidence fades. You start doubting your ability to follow through. You begin to say, I can't stay consistent, or I'm just not disciplined. But that's not true. You're not broken. You've just practiced self-abandonment for too long. The good news is, you can rebuild that trust. You can rebuild it the same way any relationship is repaired, through honesty, consistency, and small steps. Start small. Don't set promises so big that they feel impossible. If you tell yourself you'll change your life overnight, your mind won't believe it. Instead, pick one small promise you can keep today. Maybe it's waking up at the time you said you would. Maybe it's putting your phone down for an hour and reading something meaningful. Maybe it's drinking more water, going for a walk, or finishing the task you've been avoiding. When you keep that small promise, your brain takes note. It says, I can trust myself again. Then you build from there. The key to building inner strength is repetition. Confidence doesn't appear out of nowhere, it grows through action. When you repeatedly do what you said you'd do, your self-image changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives up. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That identity shift is the real foundation of strength, because when your self-image changes, your behavior naturally aligns with it. You don't have to push yourself as much. You start acting like the person you already believe you are. Every promise you keep adds a brick to the structure of your inner strength. Each one creates a sense of control, clarity and purpose. You begin to feel capable, calm and in charge of your life. You stop needing external validation because you already trust your own word. You no longer look for motivation from others. Your actions become your motivation. That's the power of integrity, doing what you said you'd do because your word matters to you. Keeping promises to yourself also builds emotional resilience. Life will always bring uncertainty. You can't control what happens around you, but you can control how you respond. When you have a track record of keeping your own word, you stop feeling helpless in the face of challenges. You think, I've handled things before, I'll handle this too. That self-assurance doesn't come from luck or talent. It comes from doing the hard things consistently until they become part of you. There's something deeply peaceful about trusting yourself. You don't have to argue with your conscience or make excuses. You sleep better. You feel lighter. You walk with a quiet confidence that others can sense. People may not always understand your journey, but they'll respect your consistency. Because real strength is silent. It doesn't shout or show off. It simply shows up. When you break a promise to yourself, don't use it as a weapon to beat yourself down. Use it as information. Ask, why didn't I keep this promise? Maybe it wasn't realistic. Maybe you made it to impress someone else. Maybe you didn't plan for the obstacles that would show up. Learn from it, adjust, and start again. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. You'll stumble, but every time you stand back up, you strengthen your character. One of the biggest mistakes people make is relying on feelings to keep promises. They think they must feel motivated, inspired, or ready. But discipline doesn't depend on feelings. Feelings come and go. Discipline is about making a decision and honoring it, regardless of mood. You don't need to feel like doing something to do it. In fact, the days you don't feel like it are the most important. That's when you prove to yourself that you're in charge, not your emotions, not your laziness, not your fears. Keeping promises to yourself also means setting boundaries that protect your priorities. You can't do everything. You can't please everyone. You must decide what matters most and say no to what doesn't. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you say no to your own growth. Inner strength requires clarity. If you want to build trust with yourself, start by removing the noise that constantly distracts you from your goals. Another form of keeping promises to yourself is showing up for your own growth. That means doing the uncomfortable work, reading, learning, listening, practicing, reflecting. It means admitting when you're wrong and choosing to grow instead of staying defensive. Growth is a promise too. It's the commitment to become better than yesterday. That's how strength expands, through a daily decision to improve, even in small ways. Many people think confidence comes from achievement, but confidence really comes from evidence. Evidence that you keep your word. You can tell yourself you're strong all day long, but if your actions don't match, your mind won't believe it. You need proof. That proof comes from the quiet victories, the promises kept when no one noticed, the effort made when no one thanked you. Those small acts of integrity build an unshakable kind of self-respect. Remember that your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you constantly break your own word, you'll tolerate others doing the same. If you keep letting yourself down, you'll accept less from the world. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, you naturally attract people and opportunities that reflect that standard. You stop settling because you know your worth is proven by your actions, not by anyone's approval. Inner strength also means being patient with your process. Growth doesn't happen overnight. You might work hard for weeks and see no results. That's okay. You're not just building habits, you're building trust. Trust takes time. It's like planting seeds. You water them long before they bloom. Keep going. Each day you honor your word. You're building something powerful inside you that will carry you through every storm. Sometimes keeping a promise means resting when you said you would. It means not overcommitting. It means taking care of your health and mental balance. Strength is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters with intention. Burning yourself out to prove your worth is not strength, it's avoidance. True strength respects limits, honors rest, and maintains balance. You can't build anything lasting if you're constantly exhausted and disconnected. Another key part of inner strength is accountability. Hold yourself accountable not through guilt, but through honesty. At the end of each day, ask, did I keep my word to myself today? If the answer is no, don't make excuses. Just acknowledge it. Understand why, and try again tomorrow. Accountability isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. When you stay aware, you keep improving. Building inner strength by keeping promises to yourself changes the way you see challenges. Instead of avoiding them, you begin to welcome them. You think, here's another chance to prove to myself what I'm capable of. That's how resilience grows, by turning obstacles into opportunities for self-trust. Every time you face difficulty and still show up, your confidence multiplies. Over time, this habit transforms your life. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop needing constant reassurance. You become someone who trusts your own pace, your own judgment, your own word. You no longer rely on external circumstances to feel secure. You carry security within you. That's what makes a person unshakable. Not their achievements, but their integrity. Your power lies in your consistency. Anyone can be strong for a day, but few people can stay consistent for a lifetime. Every single day, you have a chance to either weaken your self-trust. Choose to strengthen it. Do the things you said you would do. Finish what you start. Follow through on your word. Not because someone's watching, but because you respect yourself enough to do it. When you keep promises to yourself, you build a foundation no one can destroy. The world can take away opportunities, possessions, or approval, but it can never take away the inner strength you've built through discipline, honesty, and self-trust. That strength will carry you through every chapter of life. Set will give you peace in uncertainty, confidence in struggle, and pride in progress. And it all begins with something simple, doing what you said you would do. Every day, no matter how small. That's how inner strength is born. That's how it lasts forever. Chapter 4. Stay present and give your full attention to every moment. Most people never really live in the moment they are in. Their bodies are here, but their minds are somewhere else, worrying about what's next, replaying what's gone, planning, comparing, rushing. They wake up thinking of what they must do, go to bed thinking of what they didn't do, and somewhere in between, they miss the only thing that ever truly exists. Now, staying present is not about ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It's about realizing that life only happens in one place, this moment. Every second you drift away from it, you trade real living for empty thinking. To stay present is to give your full attention to what's in front of you. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to practice. The mind loves to wander. It jumps from task to task, worry to worry, thought to thought. You can be sitting with someone you care about, but your thoughts are already in tomorrow's schedule. You can be eating a meal, yet your focus is on your phone. You can be walking in the sun, but your mind is trapped in a conversation from last week. This constant mental noise steals your peace and robs you of connection. Presence is the art of quieting that noise and returning to what's real. When you are present, life slows down. The noise fades. You notice things you usually miss. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the tone in someone's voice, the taste of food, the feeling of your breath. These small details are not meaningless, they are the fabric of living. You begin to realize that joy doesn't come from big moments, but from paying attention to small ones. The problem isn't that life moves too fast, it's that we move too distracted. True presence requires intention. It won't happen by accident. You must decide to live deliberately. Start by catching yourself when your mind drifts. You'll notice it often when you're checking your phone during a conversation, when you're worrying about the future during dinner, when you're rushing through something just to get it done. Each time you notice, gently return to the present. Take a slow breath. Look around. Engage with what's here. That's how you train your focus, by noticing when you lose it and bringing it back. Distraction has become a habit in modern life. We live in a world that profits from stealing our attention. Every app, every notification, every headline is designed to pull us away from the moment. But the more scattered your attention becomes, the more anxious you feel. The mind wasn't built to jump between 100 things. It was built to be where you are. When you start guarding your attention like it's the most valuable thing you own, peace begins to return. Giving your full attention to every moment means giving people your full attention too. When you talk to someone, really listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Don't half listen while checking your messages. Look into their eyes, hear their words, feel their emotions. People can sense when you're fully with them, and that presence is one of the greatest gifts you can offer. When you give attention, you give respect. When you give respect, you build connection. Presence also means giving your work your full focus. When you do one thing at a time, you do it better. Multitasking may feel productive, but it often leads to mistakes and mental exhaustion. Give each task the attention it deserves. Whether you're writing, cooking, learning, or cleaning, do it fully. Excellence grows in focus, not in hurry. You'll find that your mind feels calmer, your work feels more meaningful, and your results improve. To stay present, you must also learn to slow down. Life is not a race. There is no finish line waiting for you somewhere in the future. Every moment you rush through is a moment you lose forever. Take time to breathe between tasks. Take time to appreciate where you are. The mind always says, "I'll be happy when I finish this," but peace doesn't wait at the end. It's available right now if you choose to notice it. One of the greatest enemies of presence is overthinking. The mind can turn simple things into complex stories. It can take one worry and turn it into 100 possible disasters. When that happens, remind yourself that most of what you fear doesn't exist in reality. It exists in your imagination. The future is a thought. The present is truth. When you focus on what's happening right now, you often realize you're safe, you're capable, and you're okay. That realization brings calm. You can practice presence through simple habits. Start with your breath. Your breath always happens in the present. When your mind starts racing, pause and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel the air enter and leave your body. This single act brings you back to now. Another habit is mindful observation. Wherever you are, stop for a moment and really look around. Notice colors, sounds, shapes, movement. You'll start to see how rich each moment truly is when you stop rushing through it. Presence is also about acceptance. To be fully here, you must stop resisting what is. Most stress comes from wanting the present to be different. You're stuck in traffic, but want to be home. You're tired but want to keep pushing. You're in a situation you can't change, but keep fighting it in your mind. That mental fight drains you. The moment you accept what's happening, even if you don't like it, peace starts to return. Acceptance doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop wasting energy on denial and start working from reality. Being present doesn't mean ignoring your goals. It means focusing on the step in front of you while keeping the destination in sight. You don't climb a mountain by staring at the top. You do it one step at a time. The same is true for your life. Every moment is a step. If you give each one your full attention, you'll reach your goals with more clarity, more peace and less burnout. Presence transforms relationship. When you are truly with someone, you make them feel seen. And when people feel seen, they open up. You build trust, not through words, but through presence. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be there fully. In a world where everyone's attention is scattered, being fully present is rare. It makes people feel valued, and it deepens every connection you have. Being present also changes how you experience joy. Many people wait for big achievements to feel happy, but happiness doesn't come from achievements. It comes from awareness. It's in the laughter of a friend, the sound of rain, the taste of your morning coffee, the quiet of a peaceful night. When you slow down enough to notice, you realize life is already full. You don't need more, you just need to see what's already here. Presence is also essential for emotional balance. When you're caught in the past, you often feel sadness or regret. When you're lost in the future, you feel worry or fear. But when you're here, in the present, you often feel calm. Because in this exact moment, most problems disappear. They only exist in your thoughts about before or after. When you train yourself to come back to the now, you take away the power those thoughts have over you. One reason people avoid the present is that it can feel uncomfortable. When you stop distracting yourself, you start feeling things you've been avoiding. Loneliness, boredom, uncertainty, pain. But these emotions are part of life. They don't destroy you, they reveal you. If you allow yourself to feel them instead of running away, they pass through you and lose their grip. Being present is about facing what is, not hiding from it. That's where real emotional strength grows. When you practice presence long enough, you start to see life differently. You realize that everything changes, every joy, every pain, every moment. You stop clinging to what's pleasant and stop resisting what's unpleasant. You begin to move with life instead of fighting against it. You find balance. You stop living in someday and start living in today. Being fully present also increases gratitude. When you notice what's around you, you naturally start appreciating it. Gratitude doesn't come from having everything. It comes from seeing the value in what you already have. Every day offers 1,000 reasons to be grateful, but you only notice them when you're paying attention. The more you practice presence, the more thankful you become. And gratitude is the doorway to lasting peace. Staying present requires practice, but it's worth it. Start with small steps. When you eat, eat slowly. When you walk, feel each step. When you talk, listen fully. When you rest, rest completely. These little moments of mindfulness add up. Over time, they change your relationship with life. You stop rushing, stop worrying, and start experience. You'll notice something remarkable when you begin to live this way. Life feels fuller even though nothing around you has changed. That's because you're finally seeing what's been there all along. You stop chasing meaning and start living. You stop trying to find peace somewhere else, because you realize peace only exists in the present. There will still be challenges, noise and distractions, but your relationship with them changes. You become calmer, clearer, and more focused. You start responding instead of reacting. You stop living in autopilot and start making conscious choices. Each day becomes an opportunity to experience life more deeply, to connect more sincerely, and to live more intentionally. Staying present and giving your full attention to every moment is not about perfection, it's about awareness. You will drift, but you can always return. You will get distracted, but you can always choose again.
Each moment gives you another chance to come back to now. And when you do, you begin to see that the most beautiful moments in life were never hidden. They were simply waiting for you to notice them.
Chapter 5. Choose honesty with yourself, even when truth feels hard. Honesty with yourself is the foundation of real growth. It's not about confessing your flaws to the world or exposing every secret you carry. It's about facing your reflection without pretending. It's about admitting what's working and what's not, what you feel and what you hide, what you want and what you fear. Most people never reach their true potential because they keep lying to themselves. They say they're fine when they're not. They say they're trying when they're not. And they say they don't care when they actually do. The truth might be uncomfortable, but the pain of honesty is always lighter than the weight of denial. When you avoid the truth, you live in conflict with yourself. Your mind says one thing, your heart says another, and your actions say something else entirely. You go through the motions, but deep down, you know you're out of alignment. That misalignment shows up as stress, confusion, frustration, or emptiness. Life starts to feel heavy because you're carrying the burden of pretending. The first step to freedom is to stop pretending, to yourself, not anyone else. Being honest with yourself takes courage because the truth often challenges your comfort. It asks you to face mistakes, missed opportunities, and patterns you wish weren't there. It forces you to confront the version of yourself you've been avoiding. But facing truth doesn't break you, it rebuilds you. It clears away the illusions that keep you stuck. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. Once you see things as they really are, you gain power to do something about them. Self-deception is subtle. It doesn't always look like lying. Sometimes it's the story you tell yourself to feel safe. You might say, "I'll start next week," or "It's not that bad," or "They'll change eventually." These thoughts protect you from discomfort, but they also trap you in cycles that never end. Real growth begins the moment you stop explaining your problems and start examining them. The truth might hurt for a while, but denial hurts forever. To live honestly, you must be willing to ask yourself hard questions. Am I doing my best, or am I just getting by? Am I happy with how I'm spending my time? Am I being fair to the people around me? Am I avoiding something I know I need to face? These questions cut through illusion. They might not always have easy answers, but they bring clarity, and clarity is the start of change. Honesty is not about judgment, it's about awareness. You don't have to criticize yourself to be truthful, you just have to see things clearly. The goal is not to shame yourself, it's to understand yourself. When you look at your behavior, your choices, and your emotions without excuse or exaggeration, you learn what drives you. That awareness gives you control. Without it, you live reactively, repeating old habits without understanding why. One of the hardest truths to face is the gap between who you are and who you say you want to be. It's easy to talk about goals. It's easy to say you want to be fit, disciplined, confident, or successful. But words mean nothing if your actions don't follow. You can't grow while lying to yourself about the effort you're putting in. Be honest about your habits. Be honest about your priorities. If you say something matters to you but you never make time for it, then it doesn't truly matter. Not yet. And that's okay, as long as you admit it, because once you admit it, you can change it. Self-honesty also means owning your part in your struggles. It's tempting to blame circumstances or people, but doing that keeps you powerless. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control your response. When you take responsibility, you take your power back. You say, maybe I didn't cause this, but I can choose what happens next. That mindset transforms victims into creators. It's not easy to accept, but it's the only way to grow stronger. Many people avoid truth because they fear it will destroy their self-image. They've built a version of themselves that looks strong, kind, or successful, and they don't want to see the crack. But pretending to be perfect doesn't protect you, it isolates you. The moment you admit your flaws, you become human again. You free yourself from the exhausting pressure of trying to appear fine. People respect realness far more than perfection. And more importantly, you begin to respect yourself again. Because honesty restores integrity. The truth often feels heavy at first because it strips away illusion. But after that weight settles, you feel something else. Peace. There's deep peace in knowing that what you're facing is real. You no longer waste energy maintaining lies or running from reality. You can look at your life without filters. You can make decisions based on truth instead of fear. That's how inner stability grows, not from everything being perfect, but from you being honest about what's not. One way to practice self-honesty is to check your daily intentions. Ask yourself, am I doing this for the right reasons? Sometimes we say yes when we mean no. We chase goals that don't belong to us. We stay in relationships out of fear, not love. We follow routines that look productive, but don't move us closer to fulfillment. When you pause and ask why, you uncover truth. And once you uncover truth, you can start aligning your life with what truly matters. Another way to strengthen your honesty is through reflection. Spend time alone without distractions. Sit quietly with your thoughts. Write in a journal. Observe what comes up when there's silence. Many people avoid stillness because it reveals truth they've buried under noise. But that stillness is where growth begins. It allows you to see what's working, what's draining you, and what needs to change. You can't improve what you don't understand, and understanding requires honesty. It's also important to be honest about your emotions. Don't label them as good or bad. Just recognize them. If you're sad, feel it. If you're angry, acknowledge it. If you're scared, admit it. Emotions are not weaknesses. They're signals. They tell you what needs attention. When you suppress them, they don't disappear. They turn into stress, anxiety, or resentment. Honesty means allowing yourself to feel without shame. It's about saying, this is what I feel right now, and giving yourself permission to process it. Sometimes, truth reveals that you've outgrown certain things, people, habits, environments, or beliefs. That can be painful because it means letting go, but ignoring it doesn't make it less true. Staying in places that no longer serve you only delays your growth. It's okay to move on. It's okay to say, this no longer fits who I am. Change isn't betrayal. It's honesty in motion. Honesty with yourself also means accepting your strength. Some people are comfortable admitting their flaws, but uncomfortable recognizing their gifts. They downplay their talents, hide their confidence, or refuse to celebrate wins. But real honesty means seeing the whole truth, your weaknesses and your strength. You're not broken, and you're not perfect. You're human, and both sides matter. A balanced view of yourself builds healthy confidence rooted in reality, not ego. Choosing truth over comfort is a daily practice. Some days you'll want to avoid it. You'll want to distract yourself or justify old habits. But honesty is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Start with small truth. Admit when you're tired. Admit when you're wrong. Admit when you need help. Each time you do, you prove that truth doesn't destroy you. It frees you. Over time, you'll notice something shift. Life feels clearer. Decisions become simpler. Relationships become healthier. You waste less energy. Pretend. You stop seeking approval from others because you've earned it from yourself. You can look in the mirror and feel proud, not because everything is perfect, but because it's real. There will be moments when the truth hurts. Maybe it exposes a weakness you didn't want to see or reveals that you've been settling. In those moments, remind yourself that discomfort is a sign of growth. Every painful truth opens a door to change. You can't heal what you won't face. You can't evolve while hiding behind illusion. The truth may sting for a moment, but denial numbs you forever. Choosing honesty with yourself even when truth feels hard is an act of self-respect. It means you value reality more than comfort. It means you'd rather face pain than live in pretense. It means you trust yourself enough to handle whatever you find. That trust is the seed of all transformation. When you live honestly, you live freely. You may not always like what you see,
but you'll always know where you stand. And from that place of truth, you can build anything. A better mindset, a stronger heart, a more peaceful life. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be real. And the only way to be real is to be honest with your thoughts, your actions, your desires, and your fear. When you live in truth, you live without masks. You stop performing and start existing. You stop seeking peace outside and find it inside. You stop chasing validation and start earning self-respect. That is where strength begins, not in pretending to be strong, but in daring to be true.
Chapter 6. Surround yourself with people who make you emotionally safe. The people you allow into your life shape the way you think, feel, and grow. Every conversation, every connection, every shared moment has an influence. Some people help you rise. Others drain your energy without even realizing it. If you want to live with peace and strength, you must learn to choose your circle wisely. Surrounding yourself with people who make you feel emotionally safe is not about living in comfort. It's about living in truth and support. Emotional safety means being around people who see you, respect you, and allow you to be your full self without fear of judgment or rejection. Emotional safety is not about being surrounded by people who agree with you all the time. It's about being around those who can disagree with you without disrespecting you. It's about people who challenge you to grow, but never make you feel small. When you are emotionally safe with someone, you can express your feelings without walking on eggshells. You can be honest about your struggles without being dismissed or mocked. You can share your dreams without fear of being told they're unrealistic. This kind of safety allows you to relax, to think clearly, and to grow naturally. Many people underestimate how much emotional safety affects their lives. When you spend too much time around people who make you feel anxious, judged, or unseen, you begin to doubt yourself. You start shrinking your personality to fit in. You stop sharing your ideas because you're afraid of being misunderstood. Over time, this quiet self-betrayal wears you down. You might not even notice it at first. You just start feeling more tired, more unsure, more distant from who you really are. That's the cost of staying in emotionally unsafe spaces. To build an emotionally safe environment, you must first recognize what unsafe looks like. It's in people who interrupt you when you speak, who mock your emotions, who twist your words to make you feel guilty. It's in those who compete instead of celebrate, who gossip instead of encourage, who make jokes at your expense, and then say you're too sensitive. Emotional safety cannot exist where there is manipulation, sarcasm, or constant criticism. If you find yourself always defending your feelings or explaining your worth, that's not a safe place to be. You don't need to hate or resent people who make you feel unsafe. You just need to distance yourself. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you finally respect yourself enough to stop living in emotional chaos. The quality of your relationships will determine the quality of your inner world. One supportive voice can lift you higher than a crowd of negative ones. Choose that voice wisely. To attract emotionally safe people, you must become emotionally safe yourself. That means being kind, honest, and trustworthy. It means listening without judgment and respecting boundaries. It means allowing others to express themselves without trying to fix or control them. When you become the kind of person who makes others feel seen and valued, you naturally draw similar people toward you. Healthy energy attracts healthy energy. Emotionally safe people have certain qualities that make them stand out. They communicate clearly and respectfully. They listen to understand, not just to respond. They take responsibility for their words and actions. They don't use your vulnerability as ammunition during disagreement. They give feedback with care, not with cruelty. Most importantly, they make you feel calm. You don't have to guess where you stand with them. You don't have to perform. You can just be yourself, and that alone is priceless. Many people confuse familiarity with safety. Just because someone has been in your life for years doesn't mean they make you feel secure. Some long relationships are built on habit, not harmony. If you always feel drained after spending time with someone, that's your body signaling something is wrong. Emotional safety feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. It's a sense of peace that reminds you you are allowed to be human here. Surrounding yourself with emotionally safe people doesn't mean you'll never experience conflict. Real relationships will always have disagreements. The difference is in how those conflicts are handled. In a safe relationship, disagreements become opportunities for understanding, not battles for control. You can say "this hurt me" without fear of being ridiculed. You can express your needs without feeling guilty. The conversation may be uncomfortable, but the bond remains strong because it's built on mutual respect. It's important to remember that emotional safety is a two-way street. You can't expect others to make you feel safe if you're unwilling to do the same for them. Reflect on how you show up in relationships. Do you listen to others or dominate the conversation? Do you validate their feelings or dismiss them? Do you make assumptions or ask questions? Emotional safety grows when both sides commit to empathy, patience, and honesty. Sometimes, building a safe circle means letting go of people you care about. That can be painful, but it's necessary. You can love someone and still recognize that their energy no longer fits the person you're becoming. Growth often requires distance. You can forgive without staying close. You can wish someone well without keeping them in your inner circle. Protecting your emotional space is not cruelty. It's self-respect in action. You don't need a large group of people to feel supported. A few genuine connections are worth more than a crowd of superficial ones. One friend who listens with kindness, who tells you the truth gently, who reminds you of your worth when you forget it. One such person can change your entire outlook on life. Surround yourself with people who bring out your best, not those who constantly test your patience or confidence. Pay attention to how you feel around others. Your body often knows before your mind does. Notice who makes you feel calm, inspired, and valued. Notice who leaves you feeling anxious, tense, or unseen. The body doesn't lie. Use that awareness as a guide when choosing who to keep close. The people you spend time with either fill you or drain you. Choose those who fill you with encouragement and peace. Emotionally safe people don't demand that you hide your emotions. They don't tell you to get over it or stop being dramatic. They allow space for you to feel and express without shame. That kind of space helps you heal faster because you no longer have to pretend. Pretending is exhausting. When you finally find people who let you be real, angry, sad, excited, scared, hopeful, you begin to rebuild your connection with yourself too. Surrounding yourself with emotionally safe people also improves your growth. When you feel supported, you take more risks, you try new things, express new ideas, and explore new parts of yourself. You become more creative, more confident, and more open-minded. Safety is not about staying comfortable, it's about having a foundation strong enough to explore without fear of rejection. You can only grow freely when you know you're not walking alone. To build this kind of circle, you must also communicate your needs clearly. People can't support what they don't understand. If you need honesty, say it. If you need space, ask for it. If you feel hurt, express it calmly. Emotionally mature people won't punish you for having boundaries. They'll respect you for having them. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that define how love can safely enter. At some point you'll meet people who test your boundaries,
who mistake kindness for weakness. That's when emotional safety requires strength. You must be willing to step away from those who refuse to treat you with respect. It doesn't matter how long you've known them, what role they play, or how much potential you see in them. If someone consistently makes you doubt your worth, that relationship costs too much. You cannot heal in an environment that keeps reopening your wounds. It's also important to be aware of your own pattern. If you've spent years around emotionally unsafe people, safety might feel strange at first. You might not trust it. You might even mistake calmness for boredom, because chaos has become familiar. But give it time. Real peace feels uncomfortable at first when you've been surviving on stress. The more you stay around emotionally stable people, the more your nervous system learns that calm is normal and safety is deserved. As you build your circle, remember that quality matters more than quantity. You don't need to be surrounded by dozens of people. You need the right few people who celebrate your wins without jealousy. People who sit with you in silence when words don't help. People who remind you of your strength when you forget it. These are the relationships that make life meaningful. They don't just add happiness, they add stability, courage, and peace. Being emotionally safe doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up honestly. It means saying, "I'm sorry" when you're wrong, and "I understand" when someone opens up. It means creating an atmosphere where everyone can speak without fear. You don't have to fix others to make them feel safe. You just have to listen and respect their emotions. That's what real connection is built on. When you surround yourself with emotionally safe people, life feels lighter. You stop feeling like you have to constantly defend or explain yourself. You stop walking on emotional eggshells. You start breathing easier. You start expressing freely. You laugh more, trust more, and grow faster. You realize that life isn't meant to be a constant battle. It's meant to be shared with people who bring you peace. You deserve to be around people who make you feel seen, valued, and understood. You deserve conversations that lift you, not drain you. You deserve relationships that support your growth, not punish your honesty. Protect your peace like it's the most precious thing you own. And once you find those who make you feel emotionally safe, hold on to them with gratitude. They are rare. They are gold, and with them, you don't just survive, you finally start to live fully.
Chapter 7. Learn to manage your emotions instead of escaping them. Emotions are part of being human. They're signals, not weaknesses. They tell you what matters, what hurts, what excites you, and what needs attention. Yet most people were never taught how to handle them. They were taught how to hide them. Society often praises control, but misunderstands what control really means. Managing your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means learning to understand, express, and guide them in ways that serve you instead of destroy you. It means facing what you feel instead of running away from it. Every emotion you experience has a purpose. Anger can point to boundaries that have been crossed. Sadness can signal loss or the need for healing. Fear can warn you of danger or show you where growth is waiting. Even anxiety, which feels uncomfortable, is your body's way of saying something is out of balance. When you ignore or escape these emotions through distractions, denial, or constant busyness, you miss the message. The emotion doesn't disappear, it hides, waiting to return louder next time. People often escape emotions because they believe feeling deeply makes them weak. But emotional avoidance is not strength. It's a temporary shield that leaves long-term damage. You might numb yourself with work, scrolling, food, alcohol, or constant noise just to avoid what's bubbling underneath. For a while it might feel like it's working, But soon the emotions you push down start to resurface in other ways, through anger, burnout, restlessness, or disconnection. The truth is, you can't heal what you refuse to feel. Managing emotions begins with awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. Start by naming what you feel, instead of judging it. When something upsets you, pause and say to yourself, I feel angry, or I feel hurt, or I feel anxious. Giving your emotions words helps you take ownership of them, instead of being controlled by them. It separates you from the storm. You're no longer drowning in it. You're observing it, and when you can observe, you can begin to understand. Understanding your emotions doesn't mean analyzing every thought until you're exhausted. It means getting curious instead of reactive. When you feel triggered, ask, why does this bother me, or what is this emotion trying to tell me? Sometimes you'll discover that your reaction isn't about the current situation at all. It's about something old that never got resolved. Maybe it's a fear of rejection, a past disappointment, or an unmet expectation. When you trace emotions to their source, they lose their grip. You begin to respond from awareness, instead of pain. Managing emotions is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about allowing yourself to experience emotions fully, without letting them take control of your actions. For example, feeling angry is normal. Yelling at someone is not helpful. Feeling sad is human. Isolating yourself for weeks is unhealthy. The middle ground is where strength lives. Acknowledging emotion, processing it, and then choosing how to act. You are not responsible for your first feeling, but you are responsible for your next move. Breathing is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to manage emotion. When your emotions rise, your breath becomes shallow and fast. This triggers your body's stress response, making it harder to think clearly. By slowing your breathing, you tell your body that you're safe. Deep, slow breath bring your nervous system back to balance. It's not just calming, it's a way to regain control when emotions threaten to take over. Another key part of managing emotions is expression. Suppressed emotions don't disappear, they transform into tension, anxiety, or physical illness. Expression doesn't mean dumping your emotions on others, it means releasing them in healthy ways. Write about what you feel, talk to someone you trust, move your body through exercise, dance, or a walk. Sometimes even crying is an act of courage. It's the body's way of releasing built-up energy. When you allow yourself to express, instead of escape, you create space for healing. You must also learn to separate your emotions from your identity. Feeling sad doesn't mean you are weak. Feeling angry doesn't mean you are a bad person. Feelings are experiences, not definition. They move through you, but they don't have to become you. When you realize this, you stop saying I am angry, and start saying I feel angry. That small shift reminds you that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. Managing emotions also requires acceptance. Many people waste energy fighting their feelings, saying I shouldn't feel this way, but denying emotion only amplifies it. When you accept your emotions without judgment, you allow them to move through naturally. You can say, this is what I'm feeling right now, and it's okay. Acceptance is not surrender, it's acknowledgement, and acknowledgement is the beginning of control. Emotions often intensify when you ignore your needs. Pay attention to what triggers strong feelings. Maybe constant exhaustion makes you irritable. Maybe lack of connection makes you lonely. Maybe unresolved guilt makes you anxious. Your emotions are clues pointing toward unmet needs. When you listen and take care of those needs, by resting, communicating, or setting boundaries, you reduce emotional chaos. Managing emotions isn't about willpower. It's about self-awareness and care. It's also important to stop expecting emotional balance to mean constant calm. You are human, not a robot. Some days will be heavy, others peaceful. Emotional stability means being able to handle both without collapsing. It's about staying steady through ups and downs,
knowing that no feeling is final. You don't have to fix every emotion immediately. Some just need to be felt and released. Patience with yourself is a form of emotional intelligence. To manage emotions effectively, practice pausing before reacting. That brief pause is power. When something triggers you, your mind wants to respond instantly, but most regret comes from reacting too quickly. In that moment, breathe, step back, and ask yourself, what outcome do I want? This pause creates space between emotion and action. That space is where maturity lives. That's where you stop repeating old patterns and start making conscious choices. Another part of emotional management is replacing unhealthy coping mechanisms with healthy ones. Instead of escaping through distractions, learn grounding techniques. When you feel overwhelmed, notice your surroundings, the sounds, the temperature, the texture of objects near you. It brings you back to the present. Instead of numbing pain with food, alcohol, or entertainment, learn to sit with it for a few minutes. It might feel uncomfortable, but emotions lose intensity when faced directly. Avoidance makes them louder. Presence quiets them. You also need to watch the company you keep when it comes to emotional health. Some people magnify your emotions, while others help regulate them. Surround yourself with those who remain calm during storms, who listen without judgment, and who don't fuel your anger or fear. Emotional management doesn't mean isolation. It means choosing environments that support balance instead of chaos. Learning to manage your emotions means learning emotional responsibility. Stop blaming others for how you feel. No one can make you feel something without your participation. Yes, people can trigger emotions, but how you handle them is your choice. The moment you take ownership, you reclaim your power. You can't always control external events, but you can always control your internal response. Journaling is another powerful way to manage emotions. Writing helps you process thoughts that are too tangled to speak. When you write freely, without judging what comes out, you begin to see patterns in your emotions. You notice what situations cause certain feelings and how you tend to react. Over time, this awareness helps you respond more wisely. Journaling is not about documenting your pain. It's about understanding it. Managing emotions also involves perspective. When you're overwhelmed, everything feels permanent, but emotions are temporary waves. They rise, peak, and fade. The key is not to make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. When emotions run high, wait. Give yourself time to calm before choosing a response. What feels unbearable today might look completely different tomorrow once the emotional storm settles. Physical health affects emotional health more than people realize. Lack of sleep, poor diet, or inactivity can amplify negative emotions. When your body is stressed, your mind struggles to stay balanced. Treat your body as part of your emotional toolkit. Move daily, eat well, and rest enough. A calm body supports a calm mind. Managing emotions also means forgiving yourself for the moments you didn't. You will lose your temper. You will say things you regret. You will have days when your emotions win. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Each time you reflect, apologize, or try again, you build emotional strength. Over time, those moments of awareness become your new pattern. Another aspect of emotional mastery is learning detachment. Not detachment from life, but from over-identifying with situations you can't control. When something doesn't go your way, instead of spiraling, remind yourself that this is temporary and that peace comes from within. Detachment helps you see clearly. It prevents you from turning pain into identity. You learn to say, this emotion is real, but it doesn't define me. Emotional management doesn't make you cold, it makes you free. When you understand your emotions, you stop fearing them. You stop being controlled by anger, sadness, or anxiety. You feel them, learn from them, and then let them go. That's real strength. To feel deeply, but remain balanced. To experience emotion, but still choose peace. You don't have to run from what you feel. You don't have to hide your pain behind a mask of toughness or busyness. Sit with your emotion, listen to them, Let them speak their truth, because once you do, they lose their power to control you. The calm you've been searching for doesn't come from escaping emotion. It comes from mastering it, and mastery begins the moment you decide to face what's inside with honesty, patience, and courage. When you learn to manage your emotions instead of escaping them, life changes. You stop reacting to every situation with fear or anger. You stop being pulled in every direction by temporary mood. You start living with clarity and calm. You respond with thought, not impulse. You find peace not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger, and that strength stays with you, quietly guiding you through every season of life, steady, grounded, and free.
Chapter 8. Do meaningful work that makes you proud inside. Meaningful work is not about fame, wealth, or applause. It's about waking up each day, knowing that what you do has purpose, that your effort counts for something beyond survival. It's about feeling proud, deep inside, not because others approve of you, but because you know you've used your time and energy for something that matters. Every person on this planet is searching for meaning in their work, whether they admit it or not. When your work feels empty, no amount of money or recognition can fill the void. But when your work feels meaningful, even simple tasks bring satisfaction and pride. Doing meaningful work starts with understanding what truly matters to you. Many people spend their lives chasing titles, promotions, or paychecks, only to realize those things don't make them feel alive. They climb ladders leaning against walls they never wanted to climb. They stay busy, but not fulfilled. Real meaning doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what aligns with who you are. You have to ask yourself, what do I care about deeply enough to give my life's energy to? The answer to that question is where purpose begins. Meaningful work doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can be raising your children with love, serving customers with care, creating something honest, teaching, healing, building, or helping others grow. It's not the size of the task that matters, it's the spirit you bring to it. When your heart is in what you do, even ordinary work becomes extraordinary. But when your heart is absent, even success feels hollow. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that meaningful work must be tied to a dream job or passion. It doesn't. You can find meaning in any work when you bring intention to it. Meaning comes from attitude, not circumstance. It's the difference between saying, I have to do this, and I get to do this. You can choose to treat every task as an opportunity to contribute, learn, or improve. When you approach your work that way, it stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a privilege. To do meaningful work, you must first define what meaningful means for you. For some, it's helping others. For others, it's mastering a craft. For some, it's building something lasting, or expressing creativity. The key is to know what drives your spirit. If you work only for approval, your fulfillment will depend on others. But if you work for meaning, your fulfillment depends on yourself. The goal is to end each day with quiet satisfaction, the kind that whispers, I did something worthwhile today. Meaningful work also requires alignment between your values and your action. If your job or daily routine constantly forces you to go against what you believe in, you will feel drained, no matter how successful you look. You can't build inner peace while betraying your own principles. Real pride comes from living and working in alignment with what you stand for. Sometimes, that means making hard choices, changing paths, saying no to easy money, or walking away from what no longer feels right. But those choices lead to something far greater than comfort, integrity. When you do work that aligns with your values, you stop needing constant motivation. You wake up with purpose, not pressure. You don't need to push yourself to keep going. You're pulled by something deeper. Meaningful work gives you energy because it feels connected to who you are. It turns effort into expression. You no longer work just to exist. You work to contribute, to grow, to make a difference in your own way. The truth is, not every day will feel inspiring. Even meaningful work has dull moments, long hours and but the difference is, when your work matters to you, those hard days don't feel empty. You may be tired, but you're not lost. You can look at yourself in the mirror and feel proud that you're showing up for something you believe in. Meaningful work doesn't remove struggle, it gives your struggle purpose. One of the ways to bring meaning into your work is to focus on impact instead of outcome. Ask yourself, who benefits from what I do? Every job affects someone, whether directly or indirectly. When you connect your effort to the people you serve, your work gains depth. A teacher is not just grading papers, they're shaping futures. A nurse is not just following a schedule, they're restoring lives. A builder is not just constructing walls, they're creating spaces where people will live their stories. When you see the bigger picture, every small action becomes valuable. To do meaningful work, you must also bring quality to what you do. Pride is built through excellence, not perfection. Excellence means giving your best effort with the resources you have right now. It means doing things with care, attention, and respect for your craft. Even if no one notices, you will. That's the quiet pride that builds confidence. Meaningful work is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's also important to realize that meaningful work is deeply personal. What fulfills you might not fulfill someone else. That's why comparison is the enemy of purpose. When you measure your worth by someone else's path, you lose sight of your own. Your journey is unique because your values, talents, and experiences are unique. The question is not what are others doing, but am I proud of what I'm doing? If the answer is yes, then you're exactly where you need to be. Sometimes, meaningful work means creating it yourself. If you don't find meaning in your current environment, build it. Start something small, a side project, a hobby, a community effort. You don't need permission to do work that matters. The world is full of people waiting for the right conditions before they begin, but meaning grows when you act, not when you wait. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. The impact will grow from there. Meaningful work also requires self-respect. You cannot do good work if you constantly doubt your worth. You must believe that your time and energy have value. You must treat your work, no matter how simple, with dignity. When you respect your effort, you stop rushing it. You stop cutting corners. You stop settling for mediocrity. That's when your work starts reflecting your best self. Pride in your work doesn't come from external praise. It comes from knowing that you gave your best. It's that moment at the end of the day when you feel calm, because your actions matched your intention. No one needs to see it. You know, and that's enough. The people who build meaningful lives are not always the loudest or most visible. They're the ones who show up every day with integrity, even when no one's watching. Doing meaningful work also means continuing to learn. Growth keeps your work alive. The moment you stop learning, your work loses passion. Keep expanding your skills, exploring new ideas, and challenging yourself. Curiosity keeps you connected to meaning, because it reminds you that there's always more to give, more to discover, more to become. There will be times when you question your path. You'll wonder if what you're doing matters at all. That's normal. Meaningful work doesn't always feel meaningful in the moment. Sometimes it feels repetitive, thankless, or uncertain. But when you step back, you'll see how each effort adds up. The late nights, the quiet sacrifices, the small acts, they all shape something greater. Purpose is not built in a single moment of clarity. It's built through consistent commitment to what matters. Meaningful work also demands boundary. You can't serve others if you're constantly running on empty. You must protect your energy, say no when necessary, and take time to rest. Rest is not laziness, it's part of excellence. A clear mind produces better work than a tired one. When you care about what you do, it's easy to overextend yourself, but sustainable contribution comes from balance, not burnout. When you do work that makes you proud inside, you inspire others without trying. People can feel sincerity.
They can sense when someone's work comes from the heart. That quiet authenticity creates influence far greater than any title. You become an example of what fulfillment looks like, not because you have everything, but because you've found peace in what you give. Doing meaningful work is not about finding one perfect path. It's about bringing meaning wherever you go. It's about showing up with passion, effort, and integrity in whatever you do. Even if your current situation isn't ideal, you can bring purpose to it by how you approach it. The moment you shift from I have to I choose to, everything changes. When your work reflects your values, when it brings something positive to others, and when it challenges you to grow, it becomes more than a job. It becomes a legacy. You start building something that will outlive you. You might not see the full impact now, but the effort you put in leaves a mark on others in ways you may never realize. At the end of the day, meaningful work is about connection to yourself, to others, and to something bigger than you. It's about knowing that your hours were not wasted, that your time here counted for something real. Whether you change one life or many, whether your work is seen or unseen, the pride you feel inside is the proof that you lived with purpose. You will know you are doing meaningful work when you no longer need to prove it to anyone. You'll know it when you feel peace instead of pressure, gratitude instead of greed, satisfaction instead of seeking. That's the kind of pride that can't be faked. It's earned, quietly, through consistency, honesty, and care. And when you find that, you'll realize that the greatest reward of all was never the outcome, but the feeling of knowing you gave your best to something that truly mattered.
Chapter 9. Forgive quickly and free your heart from old pain. Forgiveness is one of the hardest lessons in life, not because it's complicated, but because it challenges our pride and our pain at the same time. The heart naturally wants justice. It wants to hold on until someone admits they were wrong, until life makes it fair, until the hurt disappears. But holding on doesn't heal you. It only keeps you tied to the very thing that broke you. Forgiving quickly doesn't mean forgetting or pretending it didn't hurt. It means choosing freedom over resentment. It means deciding that your peace matters more than your pain. Every time you replay an old wound, you relive it, you reopen it. The body tenses, the heart hardens, the mind replays the scene like a movie that never ends. The person who hurt you may have moved on, but inside, you stay stuck in that same moment. That's the cost of unforgiveness. It traps you in the past. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is not about them, it's about you. It's the act of saying, I refuse to carry this anymore. People often think forgiveness is weakness. They believe forgiving means letting someone off the hook, or saying that what happened was okay. But that's not what forgiveness means at all. Forgiveness is not approval, it's release. It's you choosing to stop letting anger control your energy, your health, and your peace. It's recognizing that holding on to bitterness doesn't punish the other person, it punishes you. You can't live fully while dragging chains from yesterday. The truth is, people will hurt you, sometimes intentionally, sometimes by ignorance, sometimes by their own pain spilling over. You can't control their actions, but you can control your response. You can decide whether to keep the wound open or to let it heal. Healing doesn't mean the memory disappears, it means the memory no longer controls you. You'll remember, but it won't sting. You'll think of it, but your body won't tighten anymore. That's when you know you've forgiven. Forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. If you wait until you feel ready to forgive, you might wait forever. The feelings often come after the decision. It starts with a conscious choice. I'm done letting this steal my peace. Then you begin the process. Some days, it will feel easy. Other days, the pain will come back stronger. But each time you reaffirm your choice to release it, your heart gets lighter. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, it's a daily act of freedom. To forgive, you must be honest about what happened. Pretending you weren't hurt doesn't lead to healing. You can't forgive something you refuse to face. Acknowledge the pain. Say it hurt. Say it changed you. Say it wasn't fair. But also say, it will not define me. When you name what hurt you, you begin separating yourself from it. You stop being the victim of your story and start being the author of your healing. Some of the hardest forgiveness is not for others, it's for yourself. You might be carrying guilt for something you said, something you didn't do, or a choice you wish you could undo. You replay it in your mind, punishing yourself again and again. But guilt does not change the past. What it does is poison the present. You have to remind yourself that you can't grow while you're at war with yourself. You are not the same person you were when you made that mistake. You've learned. You've changed. You've evolved. Forgiving yourself is how you make space for that growth. To forgive quickly, you have to practice empathy. Not to excuse people, but to understand the human condition. Everyone is fighting invisible battles. Everyone has moments of fear, insecurity, or ignorance. Understanding that doesn't mean you justify their actions. It simply means you recognize that hurt people hurt people. Empathy turns anger into perspective. It allows you to say, I see why this happened, even if it wasn't right. That shift releases the emotional charge that keeps you stuck. Sometimes forgiveness doesn't come with closure. The person who hurt you may never apologize. They may never take responsibility. You may never get the conversation you wish for, but that's okay, because forgiveness doesn't depend on them. It depends on you. Waiting for an apology gives them power over your peace. You don't need permission to move on. You give yourself permission by choosing peace even without the apology. When you carry old pain for too long, it becomes part of your identity. You start introducing yourself to new experiences through the lens of old wounds. You say things like, I don't trust people, or I'll never let anyone close again. But those walls that keep out pain also keep out joy. Forgiveness breaks those walls. It opens you up to connection again, to love again, to life again. You don't heal by shutting down. You heal by opening up after the storm has passed. There's a quiet power in forgiving quickly. It doesn't mean you don't feel deeply. It means you value your peace so much that you refuse to hold on to poison. Forgiveness doesn't erase your boundaries. You can forgive someone and still choose not to let them back into your life. Boundaries protect your peace. Forgiveness protects your heart. One says, I won't allow you to hurt me again. The other says, I won't let what you did continue to hurt me. Together, they create freedom. When you forgive, you start to see yourself differently. You stop seeing yourself as the one who was hurt and start seeing yourself as the one who overcame. That shift restores your power. You realize that no one can steal your inner peace unless you give it away. Forgiveness is reclaiming what's yours. It's saying you may have caused pain, but I decide when the pain ends. That decision changes everything. Many people resist forgiveness because they think forgetting means losing control, but true control comes from peace, not resentment. You can't think clearly when you're angry. You can't grow while you're bitter. You can't love deeply while your heart is filled with old pain. Forgiveness clears the fog so you can see life again. It gives you space to breathe, to rebuild, to create something new. If you find it hard to forgive, start small. Begin by forgiving in your thoughts. When the memory comes up, instead of feeding the anger, say, I release this. It no longer has power over me. Repeat that even if you don't believe it yet. Over time your mind starts to accept it, and your heart begins to follow. Forgiveness grows stronger with repetition. One of the greatest signs of inner maturity is how fast you can forgive. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you're wise enough to understand that holding grudges only slows your growth. Life moves forward. Every moment spent in resentment is a moment stolen from peace. When you forgive quickly, you stay light. You stay available to the present. You don't waste your energy rewriting the past. Forgiveness also improves your health. Science confirms what wisdom has always known.
Bitterness weakens the body. Chronic anger and resentment increase stress, weaken immunity, and cloud your mind. But when you forgive, your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, your heart rate steadies. Peace is not just emotional. It's physical. The body thrives when the heart is free. Forgiveness doesn't always happen in one conversation. Sometimes it's a process of peeling away layers of hurt, one at a time. There may be days when the memory resurfaces, and you feel the pain again. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're still healing. Keep choosing forgiveness each time. Healing is not linear, but it is real. Each time you let go a little more, the weight becomes lighter. There will be times when forgiveness feels unfair. You'll think, why should I forgive when they don't care? The answer is simple. You forgive because you care about your own peace. You forgive so you can sleep at night, so you can smile again, so you can live unburdened. Forgiveness is not a favor to the other person. It's a gift to yourself. Forgiving quickly also means not keeping score in relationships. People you love will make mistakes, just as you will. If you carry every small wound, every misstep, your relationships will become heavy and fragile. But if you learn to release small grievances before they grow, love stays light. You don't have to win arguments, you just have to protect connection. When you practice forgiveness daily, relationships deepen, because they're built on understanding, not judgment. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is life itself. You may carry disappointment over what didn't happen, opportunities missed, or unfair turns, but holding bitterness toward life steals your joy. Life doesn't owe us perfection. It offers less. Every loss, every setback, every closed door carries wisdom. Forgiveness in this sense means trusting that even what went wrong can still lead you right. It means choosing gratitude over resentment, faith over frustration. The heart can only hold so much. When it's filled with anger, there's no room for peace. When it's filled with blame, there's no space for joy. Forgiveness empties the heart of what no longer serves it. It clears the space, so love, gratitude and calm can return. The moment you release the past, you make space for something better. Forgiveness doesn't erase the lesson, it preserves it. You don't forget what happened, you just stop letting it define how you feel about yourself and others. You keep the wisdom and let go of the weight. That's how you grow stronger, not harder. When you choose to forgive quickly and free your heart from old pain, you reclaim your energy. You start living with lightness again. You stop reacting to old triggers, because they no longer control you. You begin to see people not as enemies, but as mirrors, showing you where you needed healing. You begin to live with compassion instead of defense. Forgiveness doesn't make you naive. It makes you wise. It teaches you that peace is not the absence of pain, but the mastery of relief. It teaches you that love is stronger than resentment, that freedom is greater than pride, and that no wound deserves to own you forever. You have the power to choose peace today. You can decide that the story ends here, that the pain stops echoing, that the memories stop hurting, that the past loses its grip. Forgiveness is not forgetting what happened. It's remembering without anger. It's walking through life with a heart that's light, open, and ready for new joy. When you forgive quickly, you stop waiting for peace to arrive someday. You create it now. You stop carrying the weight of old stories, and finally feel the relief of living freely. That is the power of forgiveness. It doesn't change what happened, but it changes what happens next. And when your heart is free, everything around you begins to heal too.
Chapter 10. Live each day as if your time truly matters now. Time is the one thing we all share, but use differently. Some treat it like it will never run out. Others understand that every passing moment is a piece of life that will never come back. Living each day as if your time truly matters means waking up with a sense of urgency. Not the kind that makes you rush, but the kind that makes you aware. It's realizing that this day, right now, is not a rehearsal. It's the real thing. And what you do with it decides the story of your life. Most people wait. They wait for the right time to start, for the perfect moment to change, for the future to finally feel ready. But that future never comes, because life is not something that happens later. It's happening now. Every dream you have, every goal you hold, every version of yourself you want to become, is waiting for you to stop delaying. The truth is, the clock is always ticking, whether you pay attention to it or not. And when you finally realize how precious your time is, you stop wasting it on things that don't build you. Living with awareness of time doesn't mean rushing through life. It means being fully alive while you're living it. It's about being intentional. When you treat your time as valuable, you choose your activities, your words, and your relationships more carefully. You stop saying yes to things that drain you. You stop chasing approval or meaningless distractions. You begin to ask, does this matter? Does this move me forward? Will I be proud of this use of my day? Those questions bring clarity and purpose to everything you do. Many people fill their days, but never fulfill their lives. They confuse being busy with being alive. They run from task to task, checking boxes, chasing more yet feeling empty, because it's not the amount of activity that makes a life meaningful. It's the depth of intention behind it. When you understand that your time is limited, you stop living on autopilot. You start living on purpose. You don't have to make massive changes overnight to live like your time matters. It starts with small, conscious decisions. Wake up earlier to enjoy the quiet. Spend a few minutes appreciating your morning instead of rushing through it. Speak kindly to people. Put down your phone and be fully present with someone you love. These small acts turn ordinary days into meaningful ones. Life is not measured by the number of breaths you take, but by how deeply you live each one. When you truly value time, you stop postponing what's important. You don't wait until next month to tell someone you love them. You don't wait until next year to start your dream. You don't wait for someday to take care of your health or your happiness. Someday is the most dangerous word in the human language. It's where dreams go to die. Every day you postpone something that matters, you lose a day of peace, growth, and fulfillment that you could have had today. Living like your time matters also means letting go of the past. You can't move forward if you're always looking backward. Regret is a thief of time. It steals your attention and your energy from the present. Whatever happened, happened. Learn from it, forgive it, and move on. The past doesn't deserve your present. The only thing that matters now is how you choose to live this moment. It's easy to say time is valuable, but it's harder to live like it. To live like time matters means saying no to things that waste it. That might mean ending relationships that go nowhere, turning off distractions, or spending less time scrolling and more time creating. It means doing what adds real value to your life, not just what fills the silence. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you say no to something meaningful. Your attention is the currency of your life. Spend it wisely. When you start treating your time as precious, you become more patient but less tolerant of nonsense. You stop chasing drama, gossip, and things that don't align with your purpose. You focus on growth, connection, and contribution. You understand that every hour spent in negativity is an hour you can't get back. So you choose peace over conflict, learning over complaining, and presence over distraction. Living each day with awareness also means embracing simplicity. You don't need to do everything, you just need to do what matters most. Simplify your life so you can give your full attention to what brings meaning. The simpler your days, the richer your life becomes. Because clarity brings peace, and peace allows you to live fully. When you realize that time is limited, you begin to treasure the ordinary. A conversation with a friend becomes sacred. A walk outside feels like a gift. A quiet evening becomes a moment of gratitude.
You stop chasing the next big thing and start seeing beauty in what's already here. Life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like an experience to be lived deeply. Living as if your time matters doesn't mean fearing death, it means loving life. It's about waking up with appreciation and going to sleep with satisfaction. It's about knowing that even if tomorrow never comes, you gave today everything you had. That kind of living creates peace. It removes the anxiety of what if, because you're already doing your best with what you have. Sometimes realizing that your time is precious changes how you treat people. You stop wasting words on arguments that don't matter. You start listening more. You start saying thank you more often. You forgive faster because you realize holding grudges consumes time you'll never get back. You love deeper because you know love is one of the few things that truly lasts beyond time. Living with urgency doesn't mean rushing. It means being awake. It's knowing that every sunrise is a reminder that you still have a chance to create, to love, to grow. You stop taking mornings for granted. You stop wasting your nights. You start seeing time as a canvas, and your choices as the brushstrokes. You don't know how many days you'll have, but you do know you have today, and that's enough to make something beautiful. The truth is, no one knows how much time they have left. We live as if we're promised decades, but all we truly have is this moment. Some people realize that only after losing something, or someone. But you don't need a tragedy to wake up. You can choose to live awake now. You can decide that every conversation, every step, every laugh, every act of kindness will matter. When you live like your time matters, you stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You stop asking what will they think and start asking what will I feel if I don't do this. You stop playing small because you realize that fear wastes time too. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change, they all delay your growth. Courage doesn't remove fear, it simply refuses to let it rule your time. You also start appreciating progress over perfection. You don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to keep moving. Every small effort compounds into something meaningful. When you value time, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You work with what you have. You learn as you go, because every day spent waiting is a day lost, and every day spent acting is a step closer to purpose. Living as if your time matters means being present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. When you eat, taste your food. When you talk, really listen. When you work, focus deeply. When you rest, rest fully. The ability to be fully engaged in the present is one of life's rarest and most powerful skills. It turns ordinary experiences into moments of meaning. When you live intentionally, your days start feeling different. You wake up with clarity instead of chaos. You start organizing your time around your priorities instead of your distractions. You set boundaries with people and activities that don't serve your growth. You stop saying I don't have time because you realize time is not something you find, it's something you make for what matters most. Living like your time matters also means expressing gratitude daily. Gratitude keeps you grounded in the present. It reminds you that even though not everything is perfect, you have enough. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. It transforms your ordinary day into a day worth remembering. There will be days when life feels repetitive and time feels endless, but that's when you must remind yourself, every ordinary day is someone else's miracle. Someone out there wishes they had what you have right now, a chance, a heartbeat, another sunrise. When you live with that awareness, you stop sleepwalking through life. You start showing up with appreciation, not entitlement. Living like your time matters also means leaving something behind that lasts. You don't need to be famous to leave a legacy. Every kind act, Every word of encouragement, every lesson you share leaves an imprint. Legacy is not built by chance, it's built by choice. It's built by using your time for what uplifts others. When you make your days meaningful, your life becomes unforgettable. At the end of it all, it's not the number of years that will define you, it's the quality of your days. Did you love enough? Did you live fully? Did you grow, give and leave the world a little better than you found it? Those are the questions that matter when time runs out, so live today as if your time truly matters, because it does. Don't wait for the future to start living your life. The future is created by what you do now. Every day is a chance to be who you wish to become. To start what you've been delaying, to give what you've been holding back. Your life is happening now, not later. Make today count, not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. When you start living like your time matters, every sunrise becomes a gift, every moment a choice, and every breath a reminder that this is it, your chance to live fully, love deeply, and leave nothing undone. And that, more than anything else, is what it means to truly live.